Whenever God says no to you about something that you're praying about or something that you want or something you want to do, listen carefully. Whenever he says no, what he's doing is protecting you. I'm going to repeat that. Whenever he says no, he's protecting you. Whenever he says no, he's protecting you. Whenever he says no, he's protecting you. Don't forget it. If you try to rationalize it and figure it out and explain it away and listen, you can get all your friends to agree with you. Does that make it right? No. And they will say, I can't imagine. I just can't. In other words, you see, they only have common sense. It's the one who has omniscience, who knows the beginning and the end and the whys and the whereabouts. When he says no, he knows that no is the wisest thing we could do. And I can tell you, of all these years, whenever God has said no to me, he's been right. Listen, I don't have to look in a diary and figure out how many times he's right. I can tell you, he's been right every single time. Why? Because that's who he is. He's obligated by his character to give us direction and clarity for our life and to show us what to do next. He'll do the same thing in your life because he loves you. He cares for you, and you think, for example, here's somebody who's maybe engaged to somebody, and you have little questions in your mind and doubt. I was talking to somebody this week about the very same thing, and she said, I should never have married him. I said, well, did God give you any, or did he give me signals? He gave me one signal after the other, and then every time he'd give me a signal for why I shouldn't, I'd tell him why I could. She said, I just would counter his arguments. And she said, finally, I ran out. And I did the wrong thing. You can argue with God, but you end up having to pay the consequence. And when I look at this passage of Scripture and see what God has done in the life of Peter here and all of the things he could have said and the things he could have done, then I think about what he said. He said, Master, I've been out there fishing all night long, dead tired, got nets to clean, and I'll go with you. The right answer to the will of God every time is yes, I will do it. Now, isn't that simple? Listen, it's simple until we get to rationalizing and thinking, oh, but what about this? And what are they going to think? And what is he going to think? What is she going to think? What's going to happen here? Suppose I don't have enough of this. In other words, it's all about rationalizations. Listen, God's already thought about all those things that you're concerned about. All the things that you're hesitating about. Listen, he's already figured all that out. Listen, before he told you to do it, he had all the answers, all the solutions, and was ready to go to work the moment you say yes. Now, here's what I want you to see. Don't categorize yourself as a person that God doesn't care that much about. He loves you. He cares for you. Listen, he couldn't be the God he professes to be if he didn't love you just as much as he loves somebody else. In other words, what is it about you that God doesn't love as much as he loves someone else? You can't even name it. Well, I'm not as gifted. As gifted as who? Well, I could name a few folks, this, that, and the other, but you know what? Those same folks could look at somebody else and say, I'm not as gifted as they are. You can't compare yourself to anybody else. God doesn't stamp out people. You are a creation of God. There's nobody like you who's got your name, and he hasn't got your name with somebody else's. You are a creation of God, created for the purpose of bringing him glory and honor, and the way you do that the best and the most effectively is to walk in his will.